everyone. Okay. So today, well, actually, today is the 13th. So we're a little behind times with our birthday party for Buddha. But on April 8th is the day in the Japanese Buddhist tradition that we celebrate Buddha's birthday. So you can see we have a different altar setup than usual. And we have the statue of the baby Buddha. You can see it's kind of a techno color Buddha. I love it. It's very cheery. Under a shelter of flowers, an arbor of flowers. And the shelter, this was created by the Sangha. So Sue Walter built this, the frame. And Sandy, who couldn't be here today, contributed flowers, and other members of the Sangha contributed flowers. Sue's neighbor contributed flowers and put the shelter together, created this beautiful event. So this is an expression of the reality of our practice, that we as a community shelter and support the growth of Buddha, the growth of awakened life together. And we do this here at Ocean Gate, and we do it in the wider community. Our commitment to this way of life, this way of being, brings forth beauty, flourishing, a shared life of respect, integrity, kindness. And that's reflective of a transformation that occurs in us and in our relationships with others. Who we experience ourselves to be and how we are with others, other humans and other beings, all other beings. So central to our practice is taking refuge. We take refuge or return to the three jewels, say, the Buddha, which is the true nature of our interdependence, the mystery of our living reality, the Dharma, which is the teachings that guide and support us, that help us see clearly and act together with all beings, and the Sangha, the community of people endeavoring to lead a life like this, of sanity and goodness together, as well as all beings in the wider sense of Sangha. So in this way, we make awakening real in our lives. So today we celebrate the birth of this reality. After the Dharma talk, we'll have a ceremony, and I'll say a bit about that later. Short ceremony, fun ceremony. So the story is that Shakyamuni Buddha was born, Shakyamuni, before being Buddha, was born in 566 BCE in Nepal, what is now Nepal, wasn't Nepal then. And scholars think that there probably was a man that lived in that part of the world and was a great religious teacher. So I want to say, I'm going to be using the pronoun he, because by all accounts, this was a man. But I want us to always remember that pronouns are irrelevant in terms of awakening. And the founder of our school, Ehe Dogen, was fiercely committed to that truth. What I mean by that is that each being, no matter what the designations are that they have for themselves or that others have for them, is equally capable and vibrant expression of awakening. So we could leave the story at that and be grateful to those who give us wisdom, teaching, and guidance in our lives. But listening and considering the stories that have grown about Shakyamuni, is also fruitful. And each time we do it, each time we come to this day or repeatedly come to this day, we can encounter these teachings, these stories in a new way, and we can learn something new. Every religious tradition is filled with stories, stories that may seem preposterous to us, but they're meant to tell us something about who we are. This is how I feel. They can be quite extraordinary, but that just gives us an opportunity to see what they mean for us. In this case, they encourage us to consider what Buddha is, what birth is, and how we can celebrate awakening. So here's one story of the Buddha's birth. In the land of the Shakya clan, a woman, Maya, who was married to a clan leader, she's sometimes called Queen Maya, and Maya means love. She visited a beautiful garden, the Lumbini garden. Some say she was on her way to her childhood home to give birth to her first child. Some say she simply wanted to spend time in a beautiful garden. As she walked in the garden, a flowering tree bent down to her to support her, and she gave birth. Music filled the air, blossoms rained down, and two Naga kings. Nagas are like dragons. They tend to live at the bottom of the ocean, and they're guardians of wisdom. So two Naga kings rained down sweet water upon the baby Buddha. So you have an image in your mind of this? Quite lovely, isn't it? Last Friday night, Shinshu and I went to, and Patty too, went to an interfaith service for climate change. And Tenzin Choki, a local Buddhist teacher and friend, pointed out something that I hadn't noticed before, and that is that all important moments in the Buddha's life are marked or happen under a tree. So he was birthed under the tree, an early, powerful, transformative experience of being interconnected, and the beauty of nature happened under a tree when he was a boy. His enlightenment happened under a tree, and his death happened under a tree. So being sheltered and supported by a tree and being connected to nature is essential to the life of the Buddha. Then directly after his birth, okay, you got the picture now. There's this tree supporting Maya. Maya gives birth. Sometimes they say bolts of cloth came down, although that seems kind of dangerous to me. There's flowers and rain, and all this stuff is happening in this beautiful garden. So directly after birth, the baby Buddha stood up and walked 7 steps. Each step, a lotus blossom bloomed under his feet. On the 7th step, he pointed his right hand to the sky and his left hand to the earth, and with the voice of a lion said, "In the heaven above and the earth below, I alone am the world honored one. I will dispel suffering in the entire world." Another version of this from Pali says, immediately after birth, the Buddha stands firmly on his feet, and having taken 7 strides, looks around and utters the statement in a fearless voice of the lion's roar. Okay? So this is quite a tale, right? This baby gets born and takes 7 steps immediately and roars like a lion. And we might think, what has this got to do with me? But it has everything to do with us. So let me tell you why I think it has everything to do with us. It tells us something about the power of the Buddha's life and how remarkable and transformative it was when the teachings of awakening enter our lives and we live by them. Recognizing this, we as humans rely on our imagination to creatively express what this means for us in stories, right? Stories about lions and flowers and rain and nagas and, because this is not just a birthday for somebody that was born a long time ago. This is about what's happening now and the powerful transformative opportunity it is for us. So if we consider this story deeply, we ask, what has this to do with me? And when we ask that question, a whole world opens up for us. The great Zen master Matsu says, this mind itself is Buddha. This mind, our mind, this mind itself is Buddha. The founder of our tradition, Eihei Dogen, said, this mind itself is Buddha is most intimate, the most intimate thing there is. Most intimate, every day, day after day, in the midst of our most ordinary, most trying, most beautiful Buddha awakening in our life, just as it is. When we come close to that, when we open ourselves to seeing more clearly, acting more in sync with reality, being transformed, and we open ourselves to gratitude for the teachings, for our practice, for all those that inspire us, for a path of peace and connection and justice, and for the community of people who together do our best to live wisely and courageously and kindly, all people. We don't divvy up reality according to Buddhist and non-Buddhist. We honor all people. When I first heard the statement, I alone am the world honored one, I was confused about I alone. Doesn't that sound kind of arrogant? It sounded very exclusivist to me. And I think we're all kind of sick of that attitude. But that's not what it means. It is not in praise of one being over another. It is a statement that affirms the dignity of each life, each being, each dimension of our world. All lives are precious, and everyone has the ability at any moment to completely embody wisdom and compassion, integrity, connection, giving, joyfulness, and peace. That's what it means. The great poet Isa says, even the lowly bamboo shoots proclaims to the world, I alone am the world honored one. The I that Buddha and Isa are referring to in this statement is the I that realizes complete connection and its particularity. So we express our realization of interconnectedness, the reality of interconnectedness in our own unique lives. And the teachings challenge us to do that. So the teachings of interconnectedness do not mean that there's no I and that you turn into a puddle of mush when you realize this. I, me, this one, I take responsibility for this. I'm engaged in this, me. So Buddha took those 7 steps with his own feet. He made his statement in his own voice. This is really important to remember, I think, because we can think that somebody else does this. Some more perfect being does this. Each of us is the reality of connection. And we live out our lives as ourselves, as that reality. Does that make sense? We speak with our own voices. And the world is made complete when we do that. All the conditions of the world come together in each unique individual. In these 7 steps, the first step, or the first 6 steps, are thought to represent the realms of hell, hungry ghosts, animals, fighting demons, human beings, and beings in heavenly realm. In other words, the world in which we are propelled by delusion, by a sense of isolation, our thoughtlessness. In this 6 realms, we suffer in one form or another. Even when we're perfectly at ease, we know it's not going to last forever, right? The 7th step is the step that is not bound by any of that. It includes it all, and it is understood to be the step of enlightenment, the step that is both beyond and in all these realms. This is the step of waking up, knowing ourselves to not be different from everything and not being bound by our delusions. Generosity can come forth. Intimate connection can come forth. In that moment, Buddha is born. In that moment, wisdom and compassion come together. This is the embodiment of awakening. And it occurs when we allow ourselves to be touched. An act of kindness, generosity, patience is the Buddha showing up in the world. It is the fearless roar of awakening. So our task is to make real this roar in each moment. Each moment is a creative act because each moment is different. Each one of us lives in our particular circumstances, with our particular challenges and opportunities. And we are also absolutely the same in our ability to realize Buddha's way. The world rejoices when we do that. You can almost hear a sigh of relief when Buddha manifests, when kindness manifests, when justice manifests, when connection manifests. Just like everything's the same and everything has shifted. So today we're entering this ritual of remembering, celebrating what is most real and what is possible. In the ceremony, we pour sweet water over the baby Buddha. So there's water. There's a vessel in there, water. And we might ask ourselves, how often do we take the time to pour the sweet water of Dharma into our lives? How often do we stop and remember this deep truth? When we do, we have the opportunity to see each other and everyone and everything as Buddha, as worthy of our respect, worthy of listening and asking. World-honored one, what have you to teach me today? And then we listen and we respond to what we hear. That is the birth of baby Buddha. Suzuki Roshi spoke of this ceremony and all the ways we are adapting the Dharma in this changing world of ours. He said, the flower shrine and altar we have right now is a very tentative thing, not a permanent one. I think this is very meaningful. The Soto practice is something like this always. With this spirit, we should celebrate Buddha's birthday, even though the way we celebrate is not perfect. The spirit of the ceremony and all ceremonies, all rituals, is one of caring, of making this real in every circumstance, not perfection. It is bringing wisdom and compassion together in our community, in the wider community, and enjoying that, being settled in that, living that. So I'm gonna go over the ceremony now, but first I'd like to see if there's any questions about the Ramadan.